Welcome to Garden Plants with Jim Putnam. Let's talk Marvel Mahonia. Marvel Mahonia is an evergreen flowering shrub with a very distinct vase-shaped habit. This one on tags is going to say it gets 6 feet in height, 4 feet in width, and it's certainly maintainable at that, but if you let this one go, it can definitely get taller, definitely get wider. All of these media type Mahonias are, get pretty large over time. I'll talk more about pruning it and how to control that height a little later in the video. The growth rate on these is initially going to be very slow. That's what I've always found with almost any Mahonia that you put in the ground. It's a year of it, just kind of staring at it, doing nothing. And then the second year, it'll start to grow a little faster. And then these can actually put on quite a bit of growth in a season. The one at my house has probably put on 2.5 feet in this single season in its second year in the ground. Here's the flowers. It's middle December when I'm filming this, and the flowers are just opening. On these young plants in these 3-gallon containers, we're not seeing a whole lot. As this plant matures, these flower spikes will be 24 inches long. I've seen them almost 3 feet in width, and they'll kind of weep. And right now what you're seeing is these little vertical spikes on very young plants. So the flowers opening here in December, the pollinators will love them. Native pollinators, and honeybees and others. Just constantly get a warm day like we're having today. You can see I'm in short sleeves and shorts this morning. The bees will be all over these all day long. These are hardy in zone 6 to 9. I would imagine, like if you're in zone 6A, you'd want to put this in a protected space. Those of you in 6B, 7, 8, 9, this is a very industrial plant that prefers part shade conditions. We would call these shade plants, but if you put them in too much shade, they really don't, they'll stretch on you, and you won't get quite as many flowers. So I recommend putting this somewhere where you're going to get some good morning sun or some late day sun, and then the midday portion to be in the shade. If you have that kind of spot, that's ideal for these Mahonia. So where are we going to use a potentially 6 to 8 foot tall evergreen shrub for the part shade? This is a great screening plant. There's one at the Ralston. I was filming with Mark Wethington recently. That is 8 feet in height and probably 5 to 6 feet in width, and makes a barrier that nothing's coming through with these spiny leaves for sure. Also make a great corner foundation plant in a part shade condition. Almost anywhere that you can fit a larger growing evergreen shrub. I love the fact that it blooms in a season when nothing else is blooming. I love the super interesting foliage. It's just, try to find a space in your landscape for one of these and you won't be disappointed. Mahonia is a truly drought tolerant plant, and so this was definitely a good choice for dry shade. Again, don't put it in deep shade or it will underperform. But if you have an area in the shade that's kind of dry, I wouldn't put this in an area that's going to stay wet all the time. You could potentially have some root rot issues. Virtually no maintenance to do on this plant. It will grow as kind of a multi-trunked small tree. And so what we'll get on this plant is maybe 6 or 8 stalks that are coming up. One of them will be 2 feet taller than the rest. The way to control the height in this plant is just to take that one stalk all the way down to the ground. That's the best way to prune this plant. And then it keeps it in a natural form and a natural shape, rather than top pruning the whole thing and trying to make it look full. I also think that those larger 5 to 6 foot stalks coming up from the bottom present the largest flowers, okay? If you prune this thing from the top and you get lots and lots of splits and lots of flower clusters, the flower clusters will be small, similar to how they are on these young plants. So keep that in mind as well. Really, these don't get any pest issues whatsoever as long as you're not putting them in a very wet space. I'll fertilize these with a slow release fertilizer, typically an organic fertilizer, in the late winter. That pruning, that type of single trunk pruning, can happen any time of the year you want to do it, really, to get the height under control. Otherwise, just a super low maintenance plant. These, although they're not as bad as Mahonia beelii, will seed out, and you'll see some seedlings here or there. You might want to just take a hoe or a rake and eliminate those if they are seeding out. So again, Marvel Mahonia, one of my favorite shade evergreen shrubs that happens to flower at a great time of year. Thanks for watching.